Welcome, Kailua kids, to Sabbath School Lesson. Today's lesson is about treasure in the temple. This is some beautiful treasure. Some gold, maybe some rubies. Not quite sure what that other blue thing is. Maybe aquamarine or something like that. This is a box of treasures. Now, today's lesson is about three kings. King Manasseh, his son Ammon, and his son Josiah. Now, these three kings all made different decisions in life. First, let's talk about Manasseh. Manasseh was not a very good king. He didn't follow God very well, and he did all kinds of terrible and bad things. But when he was old, he felt bad about it, and he changed his mind and decided to follow God. King Ammon, he was just bad his whole life. He put all kinds of awful, terrible gods in the temple. And he did all kinds of other terrible things. And then when his son Josiah was only 8 years old, he became king. And he didn't have a good example in his father, and he didn't have a very good example in his grandfather, but he wanted to do what was right. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about how he tried to do what was right in the temple. Now, Josiah's dad and Josiah's grandpa were not very godly people, or maybe you could say they were very godly people. They worshipped every kind of god there was. There was the crocodile god, the weird bird head golden god. Oh, let's see, a little stick that was golden. I'm not sure why that was a god. Here's the wolf god, the Santa Claus Yoda god, the monkey god. Wait, did you just see a Santa Claus Yoda god? Well, maybe not that kind of god. The monkey god, the carrot god. After all, carrots are very good to eat. Oh, look at this. This is the warrior god. See him? He looks pretty fearsome, doesn't he? And even the pineapple mohawk god. What, you say? A pineapple mohawk god? Well, that's the way it was. So Josiah's dad and grandpa, they had all these gods. And they went and they tore out all the stuff that was in the temple of the true God, and they put all these different idols in there. And they worshiped them all. And as you can see, the temple was kind of crowded, and pretty soon it became a mess. So King Hezekiah, he said, look at that temple. It has all these terrible gods that aren't real gods. So he said, priests, can you guys help me clean out the temple? Because we want this to be a temple to remember the true God. So the priests went in there and they said, okay, we're going to get rid of these gods. So they started like destroying them and taking them out and just generally getting rid of whatever's in there. And whoa, they really went a long ways. And they're like, yeah, we got these gods. They kind of tore them all down, got rid of them all. And it was getting really messy in there because there was all these things that were a mess. And then they started cleaning up the mess, getting rid of all the different stuff. So they were like, okay, we'll get these out and these out.
Get those no good gods out.
Get all those no good gods out. get rid of the warrior god and this plinth he was on.
Hey, what's that book I see over there?
What book?
See that one.
Oh. Here, pick it up. That book. Wow, that looks interesting. Let's look at it. And they brought the book to King Josiah, and they opened it up. And the book was full of treasure. Was that what you expected to find in the book? All of this wonderful treasure? Is that what you usually find in books? Well, there's one book that really does have lots of treasure. It's called the Bible. And I know what you're thinking. When you open the Bible, you don't see rubies and gold and silver and other precious things. But what you do find is all kinds of good treasures about how to live your life and how to be happy. And being happy is worth way more than all these other things that we can have. Today's memory verse is, "If you love me, keep my commandments." And that is from John 14:15. And what we need to remember is God's commandments are just like the treasure that we found when we opened up this Bible. And if you love God, you will find that treasure too by keeping his commandments. Just like Josiah found the treasure in the temple, in that same way, God will help us to find the treasure in his Bible when we try to do what's right. Thank you, boys and girls, for joining me for Sabbath School this week, and have a great Sabbath, and I hope to see you again next week.